Робополис БГ. Добре дошли в света на роботите за дома и офиса, градината и басейна. Богат избор на роботи за почистване на прозорци, самообслужващи се прахосмокачки роботи с моп, роботи-косачки и роботи за басейни. Всички модели са налични. Робополис БГ. Доверете се на опита.
Help me with this one here, okay? Please just work with me, because you got the European Union, right?
Yeah.
And they're so happy. They love each other. Everybody loves each other in the European Union. And then you got NATO, this unified alliance that's strong, very proud.
Yeah.
Why then is Kosovo making a military alliance with Albania and Croatia within NATO? Why? And why did Serbia respond by making a military alliance with Hungary and Slovakia? Why? So if NATO's so great and Europeans so unified, why do you have two military alliances forming up inside the heart of Europe? They're going to go to war against one another. And which side will Bulgaria be on?
I think we'll be not to Turkish side.
You'll be on the side of Serbia, I hope. Your fellow Slavs.
That mean Russia. Serbia.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Serbia, Russia. You're starting to learn. You're starting to understand where you need to be.
This is just me. Our government don't start thinking that they learn. They don't learn.
But my point is, do you see what I'm saying? You can't tell me that Europe has a future of peace when within NATO you're building two military blocs who are going to go to war against one another. That's the future of Europe. Europe is going to go back to the violence that existed a century ago. That's the future of Europe, if it doesn't change course.
But why? They promise us peace. They promise us friendship.
How can you have peace see, peace, Bulgaria should have asked the following question. See, NATO was formed at the end of World War II, in the late 40s, ostensibly to serve as a bulwark against Soviet expansion. And you guys were part of the evil Warsaw Pact. You joined the Warsaw Pact. You're part of the evil Soviet Union. And I'm saying evil in quotations because that's how we sold it. Okay, but NATO had a legitimate reason to exist during that time. I disagree with the idea that the Soviet Union, together with Bulgaria, is ready to invade Europe and conquer it, because it cause and effect relationship. The Warsaw Pact didn't happen until after NATO was formed. So which means that it's a reaction to NATO, not NATO reacting to it. But when the Cold War ended, when the Soviet Union collapsed, and Bulgaria said, we want to become part of the West.
Yeah.
Why didn't Bulgaria ask the question, why does NATO still exist?
This is very...
What is the purpose of NATO? Well, because Bulgaria is part of the sickness that said, we need NATO protection against Russia. We need to protect ourselves against Russia. And so you allowed NATO to expand, but then that changes the character of NATO, and it permanently solidifies Russia as the enemy of NATO, giving NATO a reason to exist.
Let's work together from my side. We are NATO. We love NATO. We love European Union.
Why do you love NATO?
Because this is the ideology, because this is the moment in Bulgaria. And we want NATO, like Warsaw Pact, to provide us all kinds of equipment for free, like Russians, weapon equipments, technologies. NATO don't give us nothing.
What I would advise every Bulgarian to do right now is go read a 1993 article written by George Soros. It's about the future of Europe, the future of NATO. And in it, he says that the future of NATO is to be at war with Russia. All right, so you didn't join an alliance of peace. You joined an alliance that was going to go to war against Russia. And he said, but the problem with going to war against Russia is that, gosh, that would mean American body bags, German body bags, British. We don't want to die in that war. So what we need is a supply of Eastern European manpower. And then we will give them technology and we'll send them to war, to die in a war against Russia. Bulgaria, that's your job. Your job,
Our job
is to provide manpower
our
to
job
die
is
in
to
a war against
die.
Russia.
What you say?
Yeah,
Our job is to
100%.
die.
Yeah, because you're not really one of us. You're not Western Europe. You're not a member. You're Eastern European manpower, and your job is to die on the battlefield, doing our policy. Just like Ukraine. Look at Ukraine. They're dying. They're dying by the hundreds of thousands, if not more than a million. And anybody else that aligns there with that war will die. The Western soldiers aren't going to die. Mercenaries are dying, yes, but you're not going to get American soldiers going to Ukraine to die by the hundreds of thousands. No, we're going to kill you. You cheap European, Eastern European manpower. That's all you're good for, is to provide me with bodies to die on a battlefield. That's it. That's all you're good for. You're not good for anything else.
I agree with you. Because we are stupid, didn't it? We'll die because we are stupid.
Well, I don't like to use that word because I know you're not stupid. You're a very intelligent man, and I would imagine that you actually represent the majority of the Bulgarian people who are thinking people. I now will be more sympathetic. Your situation at the end of the Cold War was not an enviable situation. Mm-hmm. The collapse of the Soviet Union came about because of economic policies that didn't necessarily bode well for the members of the Warsaw Pact. You looked to the West and you saw a better standard of living. You may not have fully understood what sacrifices had to be made for that standard of living, but you saw that and you were attracted to it. And I can forgive that because as somebody who has gone through difficult economic times, I know what it's like to dream of better times. So that's all understandable. But, you know, even for instance, I can be under the most difficult times, but I'm not going to do something. I'm not going to prostitute myself out. Okay. I will always have to look in the mirror and say, am I proud of the man that's looking back? And I think what happened with the European, and look, Russia went through this in the 1990s. The Russians forgot what it meant to be a Russian. The Russians became ashamed of being Russians.
Yeah.
The Russians wanted the West. They wanted to become the West. They become like the West. And they forgot who they were as Russia. And I think Bulgaria went through that process as well. You forgot what it meant to be a Bulgarian. You wanted to be something else. You wanted the better life, but you forgot. You didn't remain true to yourself. Under Vladimir Putin, Russia for 25 years now is relearned what it means to be Russian. They are very proud of being Russian. They have every right to be proud of being Russian. Bulgaria needs to make that transition. You're human beings, just like everybody else. And you fall, you know, Americans have made the same mistake. We have bought into this falsehood of the American dream, where if we just work ourselves to death, get no vacations, become alcoholics and eat bad food, that somehow our life will get better. But it won't. We have to break the patterns that are destroying us.